There's many ways that an end mill can enter its cut. In this lesson, we're going to wrap up our conversation on toolpath concepts. So let's get into it. So it's been a long journey when we're talking about toolpath concepts, and in this one we're going to finish it out. So coming over to the board, we have two last main toolpath concepts that you need to understand before you get into designing and programming CNC machine parts. Now, these are the two main ones. There's a lot of them that we're going to see when we get into chapter 2 that we can choose from. Now, contouring, this one's a very basic toolpath, and all it does is it follows an outside profile that we can essentially machine the outside of our part. Now we're going to show this in CAD here in a second, but let's go ahead and draw it on the board to understand it a little bit better. Now this is going to be great for doing those finishing passes. If we have a rectangular part, just like this one, we can do a full profile all the way around the outside, or we can do incomplete profiles. Say we only want to do this L. What's going to end up happening is that end mill comes into the material. It will then ramp into the part, and we're going to talk about how end mills start cuts in a second here. But it'll ramp into that outside profile, following that outside contour, turning that 90, and then ramp out. These entries, we call them lead ins and lead outs, as well as that radius are all controlled in the software, and we're going to show that as well. This is going to be offset by the radius of our end mill. So it's really important that if you have a 1/2 inch end mill, the center line of this cut is going to be a 1/4 of an inch away from the outside of that profile, giving you that tolerance that you're looking for. Now this is going to also help improve tolerances overall, as you can leave a little bit of meat on the outside of your part and then carve that away using that finishing pass that we talked about earlier. Now drilling is another important one. This one's a lot more straightforward, probably more commonly known, but this is going to create that hole in the part that you're looking for, but it has to be done to the drill size that you're wanting to do. Now this can be done using a drill bit, which is purpose-built for creating that hole, or what's called a drill mill, which also has an end mill side to it and a drill tip on the end of it. Now, when we are doing our programming, there's really important things to understand on how the machine is entering into the material. As we talked about earlier with flutes on our end mills, drill bits also have that same degree, but those are purpose-built for just removing the material up and out of that hole that we're cutting. On a drill bit, we're only cutting down here at the tip of that. And when that material is being cut, it's kind of coming up the flutes. If we stay engaged with that material continuously, then we end up getting this very long, continuous chip that is going to come out of that circle. But what we can do is we can do two different things. As the drill bit is going into a deeper hole, then essentially that chip can exit out. We can then start pecking at it. That little peck breaks up these, turns them into smaller chips. The smaller chips are easier for that flute to evacuate that chip out of that hole. Additionally speaking, we can also do a retraction where we bring the drill bit completely out and then enter the hole again to continue that cut. We're going to see both of these options when we go into CAD, but I want you to be familiar with why we're doing that. The goal, get that material out. The deeper the hole, the harder it is to do that. Lastly, before we go into CAD, we're going to also talk about how end mills start their cuts. In the last lesson, we looked at that adaptive profile. We saw that helical pattern that end mill entered in. The reason for this is because not all end mills are one called center cutting. So if we look at our end mill on the very bottom, not end mills cut the entire bottom, and they're not exactly flat. So they have a conical shape to them. If we do that helical pattern, what we do is we create a space in which if the end mill is not cutting in a certain area, we're cutting it with other flutes on that profile. Now that's one of the main and most common ways that we're going to enter that material, and we can change the diameter of this and the angle in which it's going in because it's ramping slowly into the material. Another really common one, we're going to work up from the bottom, ramp. Now ramp is exactly what it sounds like. That end mill is going to come to the very top of our material, and then it's going to enter using our feed rate, but it's going to slowly work into the material, ramping down to the level in which we want to then machine that groove. Now this is a really common one, keeps that impact really low on the end mill and allows you to enter it. It's really common in slots where you don't have enough room for that end mill to get down into the material using the helical pattern. Next, plunge. It's exactly what it sounds like. We're going to take that end mill and using that whole centering cutting end mill, we're going to just enter the material. Very aggressive, can cause chatter, loss of tolerance. It's genuinely type frowned upon unless you're using a very specific end mill or that's really your only option. Another better option is that we can pre-drill our holes, and if we have a pocket here, what we can do is enter into that area where it's pre-drilled and then work into the material from the side. This is a great option if you do already have a feature. Say you have something laser cut from SendCutSend that already has the hole in it. Now you're just doing your features on the inside. This is a great option. You can essentially click on that and tell it where to enter that material. Now that we've kind of seen these last couple toolpaths that we should know and how to get those end mills in the material, let's check out how we do that in CAD. Now in CAD right here, we have that same sample part, but I ended up adding a couple features. I added this hole and I ended up shrinking the adaptive space here as well. What I also did is I went into our setup and I added stock around the outside here. We can see that this is the edge of our original part, and now we have this faint yellow area that is indicating where our stock is outside of. Now, if I come up here to my adaptive path that we talked about last time, I can right click on this, click edit, and I can go all the way to linking on the very end. If I come down halfway through, we can start seeing those different ways in which we can enter the parts here. And if I highlight over it, you can see an option for each one of those. Pre-drill, plunge, zigzag, which is a very different version of ramp, as well as a helical pattern. If I drop down that menu, we can also see what's available for the particular path that we're working on here. Now that we have helix essentially selected, I can click OK, and we can see that pattern. Now we can also change the angle in which we have that pattern. If I go back into edit, go back into linking, I can change the angle. So that ramp angle, we can change this to say 5 degrees. This is going to be a much more aggressive entry into the material, as well as we can change the diameter of that as well. Just note that if you go over the diameter of the end mill, then you're going to cause problems. Selecting OK, we can now see that that pattern, that helical pattern, is now much more spread out, just like a slinky. All right, in the next one here, we have our contour. Now, just like the example that I wrote on the board, that contour is only going to do 2 sides. And we can see as it comes down, we're going to ramp in on a radius, and we're going to ramp into that part, following the profile down, radiusing around the corner, and then leading out of that part. If I right click on this, click edit. Now a handful of things that we talked about in the last one, we could do multiple depths. So if we don't want to do a full finishing pass in one shot, we can have it do it in multiple iterations down. And we can also have it change where the lead-in position is, as well as our horizontal lead-in, our radiuses, and the angle in which we want them to come in. Now, one important thing for us to see here is if we right-click, we're going to go to Simulate. We're going to rotate our part up, and then I'm going to zoom in pretty far on this little spot here. We're going to slow this thing down. If I have this thing come down and enter, what we can see here is, one, as it enters, that radius is causing an uncut area here on the end. I'm going to show you how to fix that. As well as in the last lesson, we talked about tool engagement. We can see that engagement really, really evident here. You can see the edge of the part from the clean cut versus the original raw area there. As this runs out, we're going to go ahead and let it go. Speed it back up. We can zoom out. It's going to create a nice 90-degree corner here, and then leading out also causes that same issue. If we exit that simulation, we can right-click on this, click Edit. Since we're doing that outside profile, all we have to do is change this from 90 degrees. We're going to enter the material at 90 degrees in to 0 degrees. Now, if our lead out is equal to the same as our lead in, which we can check this box here, all the changes that we make are going to carry through. Clicking OK, we're going to see this new toolpath, and you can see how it comes down on the outside of the part and then rolls in. Now we're going to get rid of that radius that we had a problem with. Now moving on to our drill cycle, we're going to do this using up here in drilling. We're going to select drill to add that as well. So if we right click on this, we can see that I have a 1/4 inch drill bit. Now this has to match the hole size in which you're wanting to make. This drill bit is not allowed to side mill, just like an end mill, and create a larger hole. Now that if we want a 1/4 inch hole, we're going to use a 1/4 inch end mill. Now with that being said, I selected the hole, and if we come in here to cycle, we can start to see those options that we just talked about as well. Now there's lots of options in here, but for the most part what we're looking at is chip break from a partial retract, chip break from a deep drill, full retract, or just drilling. Now drilling is going to be like the first example I talked about, where the drill bit's going to go straight into the material and continually work through creating a very long chip. If the material is thin, then you're going to get away with this. But as that material gets up to say 4 times the diameter of that drill bit, you're going to have problems, and you're going to want to start adding chip breaking. Now if I add chip breaking, we can see that I have depths in which it will stop, lift up partially, and then continue the cut. At 0.1 thousandths of an inch or 10 thousandths of an inch, what this is going to do is come down, pick back up, come down, pick back up until it works through the material. If the material or the drill is longer than 0.625, this accumulated pecking depth, it'll fully retract that drill bit to fully remove all of the chips. So this one does have a full retract component to it if I go to a certain depth. Now, full deep drill retracts essentially goes and retracts every single time it hits the pecking depth. So at 0.1, it's going to go 0.1, then retract, 0.1, retract. If I select OK and I slow this down, we're going to look at this from the side profile. We can right click, simulate. And again, I'm going to slow this down so you can see those retracts. Hitting play, it comes down, that's 0.1, 0.1, and you can see it. That's going to add up a lot of time, but you're going to always have a very clean hole at the very end of it. Now that we've seen all of the different toolpath concepts, we're going to finish this one up and start the next lesson based off of work coordinate systems and G-code. So we'll see you on that one.